Well, good evening, everyone, or maybe good morning or afternoon, depending where you're joining us from. Welcome here to the Launchpad and our live coverage of the Progress 82 undocking from the International Space Station. You're looking at a live tracker of the location of the ISS, currently passing over Eastern Asia, beginning a pass over the Pacific Ocean. Undocking expected 28 minutes, 25 seconds roughly from now, undocking from the Poise module of the International Space Station. Following undocking, Expedition 68 cosmonauts Sergei and Dmitry will send commands to the Roscosmos segment to rotate the Progress capsule for additional visual inspections and documentation following the leak that was discovered on February 11th. The Progress vehicle has been loaded with trash and will be deorbited by Roscosmos flight controllers over the Pacific Ocean after spending 4 months on the International Space Station. We are looking to live views of the ISS as well. They are coming in and out of frame. We are on a bit of a dark pass at this moment, that we aren't having any live feeds. But when those come back up, we will patch them in. We've got two different cameras on there, but we have heard that things are progressing well towards tonight's undocking in just over 27 minutes from now. If it's your first time here, though, welcome here at the Launchpad. It's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow because we believe that space is better together, and we're glad to have you joining us here this evening. If you haven't yet, take a moment, engage that like button, and let us know in the chat where you're watching from, and share out the stream. It does help us out. This undocking was only announced earlier this morning, following a briefing on the status of the path forward to the Starliner crew flight test coming up in just a couple of months. If you want to learn more about that, you can head over to Twitter and our website to learn more. We'll be having an article about that shortly, but it's great having you here tonight as we follow along until the undocking of Progress 82. These are normally pretty calm live streams as we watch a capsule back away from the ISS. We do have the mission audio feed, the mission control feed, patched into the stream. So anytime we hear commands sent up or back from the station to the ground, we should be able to hear those on our stream tonight. Seeing some people coming in the chat. Sherry's watching from Florida. We got Ginger, great to see you as always, from Lakewood, Washington. Anthony's in UK, England. We've got Albuquerque as well. Thanks for being here. We do have a launch coming up still later this evening that we hope you'll come back and join us for. We are now 1 hour, 58 minutes, 45 seconds and counting until liftoff of a Falcon 9 rocket from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. We will be live for that about 5-10 minutes prior to launch, so we hope you'll come back and join us for then. But for now, we are counting down towards that undocking, taking a continued look at where that live telemetry is showing the ISS currently passing over Japan, pretty much a direct pass over Tokyo, but daylight hours, so going to be unlikely to see. But we'll be making a pass over the eastern portion, or western portion, of the United States here in just a short amount of time. Keeping an eye on those cameras to bring in a live view once we have it. Again, if you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the Launchpad, and we'll work on answering those live as we continue to monitor the Progress 82 undocking from the International Space Station. Stay with us right here on the Launchpad. If you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. We're counting down now less than 15 minutes until Progress 82 will undock from the International Space Station. Progress 82 arrived 4 months ago, carrying cargo and resupplies up to the ISS, but on February 11th, a coolant leak was discovered just 90 minutes after a new Progress spacecraft docked to the International Space Station. Today, the Progress will undock from the ISS in an autonomous mode, and cosmonauts Sergei and Dmitry will send commands from the station to the Progress spacecraft for it to conduct a rotation maneuver once it is backed away from the ISS. This will allow them to do additional visual inspections and documentations of any damage to the vehicle prior to it backing away out of the International Space Station's sphere of influence and being deorbited now that it is basically a glorified garbage truck. It's been up in orbit for 4 months and is undocking here a little bit earlier than planned, but that is okay. A new cargo craft has arrived, and teams were able to maneuver this. This is not the Soyuz spacecraft that the crew will be coming home on, or the one that the crew will not be coming home that had a leak. This is a second Russian spacecraft that had a leak on the ISS and is solely for cargo. If it's your first time here, though, welcome. Make sure you take a moment, engage that subscribe button and that like button. They're both free, and they really do help us out, and we appreciate your guys' support. We're going to be answering your questions, so you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad, and I see a few have already come in. Big one off the bat. Deed or Dead, are you excited for Kerbal Space Program 2? Absolutely. Super excited to have it come out here in just a few days. It's a busy time at the International Space Station, though. So I'm likely going to have to wait a week or two before I actually get to have a few hours free to dive into it. But super excited to see this next generation of the game. I've heard it's absolutely incredible and can't wait to do some streams with it as well. We do have the launch pad on Twitch, so we will be doing some Kerbal 2 streams over on our Twitch channel once we get that in the future as well. Chinmay, that's just some of our background music as we're waiting for Roscosmos to go live. They should be going live here in just a minute or two, and we will patch in their live views and here into Mission Control as we approach undocking now, just under 12 and a half minutes from now. David, this is the one that had the leak, not the crew one, but the cargo one. Lots of people just joining us tonight, so great to have you all here. Take a moment, let us know in the chat where you're watching from. We know we've got Florida, we've got Oregon, lots of Florida in the house. Great to have you all here. I know we had Virginia, Washington, United Kingdom, Glasgow. It's great having you all here with us this evening as we count down to undocking. Just a reminder, in 1 hour, 45 minutes, we do have a launch from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, a Falcon 9 rocket carrying the Inmarsat 6 F2 mission. That scheduled departure or liftoff time is 10:59 p.m. And we hope you'll join us back here live for that. That stream's pre-scheduled, so you can hang out in the live chat in advance of that launch as well. Roscosmos should be getting underway here momentarily, and we'll patch them in. You can see the ISS currently over the middle of the Pacific Ocean, so we are having some ground station dropouts, but the good news is we should have some decent coverage right at the time of undocking based on where it'll be passing over with South America. But we'll be keeping a close eye on that as we continue to watch for the next 11 minutes until the approximate time of the spacecraft undocking. We got Patrick in Luxembourg. We got ours in Georgia. Great to have you here. We've got Lamenta in Atlanta. More Georgia as well. Great to have you all here tonight. Thanks for jumping on. This undocking was something that was only really just announced this morning. So we're glad that you guys were able to jump on here last minute and join us for our live coverage of the undocking. As you can see, we're just waiting for Roscosmos to go live. And once they do, we will patch that feed in to the stream. We're keeping a close eye on the video feeds as they are in a ground station dropout at this time, but we should be regaining visual here in just a couple of minutes from now. Again, if you have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad, and we'll work on answering those as we continue through today's live stream.
Да, то есть смотрим вот именно по углам, по белым вот окончаниям, по узкой.
And if you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. You're looking at a live view inside the Russian Mission Control Room in Moscow, where teams are preparing for the Progress 82 spacecraft, or Progress MS-21, to undock from the International Space Station Following undocking, it will do a rotation maneuver, so two Russian cosmonauts, Sergei and Dmitry, can perform an inspection and photograph the spacecraft prior to it departing the sphere of influence and being deorbited over the Pacific Ocean. The ISS is currently flying off the western seaboard of Baja California and Mexico, just about to cross that terminator line of day and night. And we should be just under 5 minutes away from undocking. We are listening into the raw mission control feeds, as this is a Russian spacecraft. It is all controlled through Roscosmos, and NASA really is just there supporting them as required. So we're too sure on what views we will get here this evening, but we will be keeping a close eye on that. Right now, we are still in a dropout zone, but we're hoping to have ground coverage reconnected, so we'll hopefully have a live view of the spacecraft as it undocks or just shortly after. As we continue through our undocking coverage, if you have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the Launchpad. And make sure you take a moment, hit that like button, it really helps us out. It's free to do so. And subscribe so you never miss another live launch coverage, undocking, docking, or splashdown right here on the Launchpad as part of TLP Network. I see a couple people asking about the launch later tonight. We will be live for Inmarsat 6, launching from Cape Canaveral in Florida. We are 1 hour, 36 minutes and counting. Everything proceeding well with the count for tonight's flight. That stream is scheduled, so we hope you will join us live in just over an hour and a half for that, the second launch of today. And yes, there was a Starlink launch earlier today. Continuing to listen to the feeds, very quiet tonight on station to ground comms. That's generally a good sign that they're not working any issues as they approach that approximate targeted time of spacecraft undocking.
Тест аппаратуры закончены.
Принято. Значит, пока работу не включаем, эти команды, значит, не выдаем, фара включена у нас. Подготовить секундомер, ждем физического расхождения объектов.
Принято, секундомер готов.
работаем, да? Посмотреть, проконтролировать ее.
If you're just joining us, we're listening into Russian mission control comms to the International Space Station as we await confirmation that the Progress spacecraft has undocked from the International Space Station. Let's continue to listen in.
Режим B1, B2 отключен.
Принято, первый коллектор. Расхождение, включил секундомер. Погасло.
Принято. Ждем 30 секунд.
30 секунд. Секунд прошло, включил. БПС исходное, есть загорание внешнее и внутреннее. Включаю работу. Загорание работа. Отвод плюс X. Выдал, внешние и внутренние горят. Ручное управление.
Принято.
Загорание ручного управления, внешние и внутренние горят. Выполняю 4 секунды на себя. Работал 4 секунды.
And if you look really closely there at the top right view of Mission Control, you can see the Progress spacecraft currently backing away from the International Space Station. We're going to see if we can get one of the feeds to have that blown up for you guys, but it looks like the all the feeds that we're getting are actually not showing the clean feeds from the space station, but that's okay. We can see it in the top right there, undocking confirmed just off the western coast of Central America, but look generally about a minute ago based on when we saw that feed come into play. We are dealing with a lack of ground coverage with its current location. And there is a live view of the Progress spacecraft backing away from the International Space Station. Russian cosmonauts Sergei and Dmitry now preparing to conduct an inspection of the spacecraft, following the leak that was detected on February 11th. That's the live feed that we are seeing at this time. There you can see the spacecraft beginning to do a slow rotation so they can look around the spacecraft. giving them a good inspection and time to photograph. Rare to see a spacecraft do this type of rotation this close to the International Space Station, just a few yards away from that docking port, as you can see from this docking camera, giving them a good idea. But there is a live view of the side of the spacecraft, taking a close look at where that leak was detected and taking just a general inspection of the spacecraft in itself prior to it backing away from the International Space Station, and then it'll be deorbited over the Pacific Ocean. The spacecraft was filled with garbage and trash from the ISS, and it will continue the remainder of its life prior to being burnt up in the Earth's atmosphere. If you're just joining us, though, the leaky Progress MS-21 spacecraft, or Progress 82 if you use NASA's naming, has undocked from the International Space Station and is beginning to go through its rotation for inspection. This is a live view from the docking camera on board the spacecraft. You can see it maneuvering and doing a spin. Looks like it's done at least 180-degree rotation at this time. If you're just joining us, you're looking at a live view from the Progress MS-21 spacecraft as it begins to back away from the International Space Station. This was the cargo craft, the second Russian spacecraft to have a leak on board the International Space Station in the last couple of months. This is not the Soyuz crewed spacecraft. That is still docked to the International Space Station and will remain docked until the rescue replacement Soyuz is launched in just over a week's time. Once that's launched, they're going to move some stuff from the leaky Soyuz into the new Soyuz, and then the leaky Soyuz crew spacecraft will be undocked. So that is still docked at this time. But that busy time at the International Space Station, the launch of Crew 6 coming up, the arrival of the rescue Soyuz, the undocking of the leaky Soyuz, and then we have the SpaceX NASA cargo resupply number 27 coming up just a week later, and that's normally on station for a couple of weeks prior to its return home as well. So a very busy couple of months on board the International Space Station, just to start to the activities this year, with the ISS basically being pushed to its limits with the Starliner crewed flight test, Axiom 2, and more occurring over the next couple of months. If it's your first time here, though, welcome here at the launch pad. We bring you full live launch coverage, docking, undocking, and return to Earth coverage of missions all around the world, and make sure you engage that subscribe button so you don't miss that. We also bring you space news updates with the Launchpad News over on our YouTube channel and website as well, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of those. We've got a few minutes left in tonight's stream as they continue the inspections of the spacecraft. So if you have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the Launchpad, and we'll work on answering those over the next couple of minutes while we continue to look at these live views of the Progress spacecraft as it continues to go through its inspections, slowly backing away from the ISS.
37, тумблер на себя на 16 секунд. Докладывайте. Вот. Сергей, тумблер на себя на 16 секунд. Отработали? Принято. 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 У нас с задержкой картинка идет с перерывами. Сейчас уже не трогайте ручки. Сейчас готовимся к работе по 6-му листу. По отключению Тору, кроме телевидения.
And as you can see there, the Progress spacecraft beginning to maneuver away from the International Space Station as they continue their inspections. But with that, that is going to conclude the Progress 82 or Progress MS-21 undocking from the International Space Station. If it was your first time here, make sure you engage that subscribe button so you don't miss another live coverage right here on the launch pad. Here at TLP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, because we believe that space is better together. We hope you'll join us in just over an hour and 10 minutes with our live launch coverage of an Inmarsat 6 launching from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Our team's getting ready to bring you that live coverage, so we will see you then. But for now, this is Zach from TLP Network HQ signing off. We'll see you later tonight. Bye-bye.